Welcome back to the show.
Welcome back to the show.
And now, your hosts of the Card Subject to Change podcast, the For Frequency's Sake Tag Team Champions of the World, the Wizard CZ, and Never Wrong Nick Bull.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting edition of the Card Subject to Change podcast, the podcast by the fan for the fan. Of course, I am your host, Never Wrong Nick Bull. So happy you joined us. So happy you found us. Welcome back. If you're a returner, welcome into the ring. If you are here as a first timer, we're so glad you're here. We love to talk wrestling, and we will be talking wrestling during this podcast amongst ourselves. We have a guest waiting in our green room, but we got some announcements to get to in a few minutes. Before I do any of that, I'd be remiss if I did not introduce to you my tag team partner. We are co-champs of the For Frequency's Sake podcast network. We got some big news to announce here in a few minutes, and we're going to do it with my partner. He is the one. He is the only. He is the Wizard, CZ Wiz. How you doing, buddy?
Man, I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing great. Absolutely great. I know the sun stays out a little bit longer. That time change in the spring, it's a big deal for Never Wrong here because it's like a game changer. It really like changes the mindset, changes the attitude. So I'm doing great. Wrestling's been great. And we're here for another episode of the show, which is great. So.
Absolutely.
I'm interested about our guest today, that's for sure. But we've got some news to cover, don't we, big guy?
Just a little bit of business because I promised on Facebook that when we hit 1,000 followers, I would make a couple announcements about upcoming shows a little bit early. Usually we don't announce our shows early, Nick. We like to keep that element of surprise and build that, just focus on that particular guest or that particular episode each week. But I'll be damned if we didn't hit 1,000 followers on Facebook this over the weekend here. So we're gonna make some announcements. First thing I want to talk about, though, before we announce there's going to be 3 upcoming shows we're going to announce here today. Want to remind everybody that my buddy Zach Takis and I are hosting a wrestling fitness podcast once a month. Wrestling with Fitness is what we call it. We're both on a fitness journey. You can catch that Wednesdays at 7 at the once a month at the last Wednesday of the month. So that'll be the 26th of this month. So really excited to get back in the studio with Zach, and we may even have a guest come in this next episode, Nick.
Excellent. I'm all tuned in. It's an easy listen. Even there's some wrestling tie-ins to it, but it's more of Chris and Zach kind of going back and forth, talking about what works for them, what doesn't work for them, and in their fitness journey. So it's a very easy listen with some veiled wrestling references. It's not really a wrestling podcast. It's just 2 guys that do wrestling podcasts doing a fitness podcast. So I like it. It's a good listen, and I would recommend it.
I appreciate that. We also have our good friend Ricky Lee, the proprietor of the Sandra Lee Memorial Car Show. Nick, I'm going to let you take the wheel on this one here. And on May 4th this year, I believe?
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it's May 4th this year. I believe it's the 4th annual Sandra Lee Memorial Car Show. Their goal this year is to get over 100 cars registered. There will be wrestlers involved. That's why we're tied into it. Of course, this is the belt that will be rewarded to the wrestler's pick for best car in the show. Any car is eligible for this by simply entering into the car show. Sandra Lee Memorial Car Show, the 4th annual on May 4th. We're pumped because we're sponsors, but we're also featured. If you look at the right side of that picture there on your screen, can you throw that back up real quick, CZ? I'm sorry. Look at the right side of your screen. That is you see our colors, you see our logo there. We're featured on the side plate of the wrestler's pick for the car of the car show. So we're very excited. We're going to be there in one way, shape, form, or another because it's announced the Headbangers will be there. Buff Bagwell will be there. Lash LaRue will be there on the wrestling side. I am not a car expert by any means, but I know there are some names from the car and hot rod world that will be there as well. I apologize. I am not a car guy, so I'm not going to sit here and try to know what the names are. So that's coming up May 4th. Stoked that we're on a championship belt. So cool to see that. I'm sorry. That's just that's cool.
That's really cool. And now we'll get to some show announcements here. We've done it 3 times in the past. Nick is going to be back for this one, it looks like, at least tentatively planned. But Zach Takis, Nick, and myself will be in Waterloo on March 29th. So a couple weeks from now for the 4th pre-show podcast party. We're going to have some absolute pro wrestling stars on there. I'm not going to announce who exactly is going to be on just yet, but we're excited about that. So that's coming up. Zach is going to join us once again as we interview some wrestlers up at the Cedar Valley Sportsplex, Nick.
Throw the floors up. Pre-show podcast party 4. Bigger, better than ever. I'll be back for this one, joining, of course, my tag team partner, Wizard CZ, and our old territory buddy, Zach Takis from Shotgun Wrestling Radio. We just try to bring some energy, get you pumped for the show that you're about to see. And Absolute Pro Wrestling puts on a good show, good product. You won't leave disappointed. I'm excited to get back up there, see some old faces, excited to make some new friends, and excited to see a wrestling show. And of course, do this as part of our show as well.
Absolutely. And right after that, we've got a busy weekend that weekend, Nick. We're going to be in Milan live the morning after the pre-show podcast party at the Spring Card Show at the Camden Center, hosted by Atomic Sports Cards and Collectibles.
Yeah, we're going to talk to our booker about this one. Late night in Waterloo, early morning in Milan, man. We're going to be on the road. Road Warriors. We'll be taking the ride back. Coffee will be the drink of choice at In the Cards, as we're calling it. Yeah, stop on out. Sponsored by Atomic Sports Cards and Memorabilia. It is a card show at the Camden Center, which is just located just what I would call just south of Milan, right on Route 67. We'll be going live there. I'm not sure what time we're going live yet. Stay tuned for details to follow. We will be live at the show. Stop by and see us. Possible giveaways, those are in the works, but we're looking forward to that. It's going to be great. We'll be half awake. We'll be puffy-eyed. We're going to be bright-eyed and bushy-tailed because we'll be talking wrestling with other hobby enthusiasts as well.
Absolutely. Can't wait. I'm super excited, and the fact that Atomic picked us specifically to come out to this show, that's going to be fantastic.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Really am. Looking forward to meeting a lot of people too.
Now, we got one more big announcement, and I am stoked for this, Nick. Back at the car show, we were talking about Ricky Lee's car show, the Sandra Lee Memorial, the 3rd annual. We got to sit down with the wrestlers who were there, and one of them was talking about an upcoming book at that time, and we are excited to have her back in the studio, actually in the studio for a full-fledged interview. Nick, I'm going to let you take the wheel on this one too, man.
Yes, hooray for Hollywood. That's the name of the episode. Also, the name of the new book from original Glow Girl Hollywood, Jeannie Bassone. We met her back at the Ricky Lee 3rd annual Memorial Card Show. Or was it 2nd annual?
3rd.
We met her back at the 3rd. She was fantastic to talk to. I wish we kept the cameras rolling because we talked for like double the time afterwards. But it was a cool conversation. She had a book almost complete at the time, just needed to edit it and some things proofed and whatnot. And she said right there that day, hey, call me back, get a hold of me, book me when the book comes out. I'll be glad to come on and talk about it. So we're going to talk about her with that. We're really excited So of course, April is WrestleMania country, WrestleMania time. We're in the midst of, wrestling, and having that kind of kick off our month of April is just so cool. And we're excited to bring it to our fans.
Absolutely. And I recommend, I'm not all the way through. I just started. I'm about 50 pages in, but you can get the book on Amazon. You can get it on her website, which is jeanniebasone.com. But go out, get a copy. It's a pretty good read so far. And Nick, I'm getting on you. You need to do this as soon as possible.
I know. I know. I will get it ordered because, trust me, I've been wanting to read it. And B, we're going to be reviewing it, so I can't look like the fool who didn't, read the book with the person, the author, the wrestler that we're going to have on here. So, of course, I got to read it. So, yes, I will get that thing ordered. Maybe after the show is done tonight, I will get that ordered.
Hell yeah. Well, Nick, we've yammered on for long enough here. We've got a guest that we need to bring into the studio, and hopefully we didn't scare him away.
Yes, apologize. I want to apologize to the guest first thing for us taking so long. We thought that would take 5 minutes. We apologize to our guests. The Wiz, you're the former ring announcer. Bring him on in.
Can I bring him on like Justin Roberts would bring on the American version?
Sure. We've talked about American Dragon on this show before, but this will be the first tonight that we talk about the Guatemalan Dragon. So by all means, do what you got to do.
Making his way to the studio, the Guatemalan Dragon, Carlos Oliva.
Hello.
Carlos, welcome to the show. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for sticking around. I could see you bobbing in and out of the screen. I'm like, gosh, this guy's going to leave before we even start.
No. You're fine. You're fine.
It's so cool. It's so cool you're here. We're going to throw a lot of questions at you.
Mm-hmm.
You're a wrestler, so we got to assume you're a wrestling fan to some degree.
Mm-hmm.
What was it? I'm going to ask you the same question I ask all first timers here.
Yep.
What was it for you that you said after watching pro wrestling for the first time, man, I love this. I got to have more. What was it?
I'd say when I immigrated here from Guatemala and I saw Monday Night Raw for the first time, and I was just hooked from the very beginning.
Do you remember the exact Raw that was?
To be honest with you, I can very specifically remember it being John Cena pushing Zack Ryder off in the wheelchair.
Oh,
okay.
Off the stage.
Okay. I'm
I
going
have
to
vivid memories.
tell the
of
story.
that.
I want to hear this story.
Well, I just have very vivid memories of that. I came here to the United States, no English. I put on the TV. That's the first thing I saw, and I was just hooked. I didn't know what these guys were saying, but I just wanted more of this.
It just kind of sucked you in, didn't it?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm like, why did this guy just push him off the stage in a wheelchair?
So you immigrated here. You came from Guatemala. You started your pro wrestling career with John Cena and Zack Ryder. What was that crystallizing moment that you said, okay, this is what I absolutely have to do?
It didn't occur to me until WrestleMania 30, and then the main event, just the build up to WrestleMania, and then the main event, seeing Daniel Bryan finally winning it. At that moment, I had to be a wrestler.
Oh, absolutely. That's a great moment. One of my favorites for sure.
One of the most polarizing moments in WrestleMania history.
Yes.
We all agree with there that it's, you say WrestleMania, that's one of probably the first 5 moments that come to my mind.
Of course.
So, go ahead, Nick.
So, were you a fan of that moment, or is Daniel Bryan your guy, or is somebody else, is there somebody else other than Daniel Bryan that you absolutely are a fan of and love?
I'd say it's definitely John Cena and Daniel Bryan, Eddie Guerrero, but the storyline just building up to WrestleMania 30, just how much Daniel Bryan worked so hard for it, that captivated something in me that to this day, that just reoccurs in my head every single day to continue to work hard just like that.
Now, we know you are a graduate of the Black and Brave Wrestling Academy right here in the Quad Cities. Was Black and Brave your first choice? What made you gravitate towards Black and Brave?
When I got to high school and I was like, okay, let me go on Google how to be a pro wrestler, right? So looked online, saw these schools, and I'm from Iowa City. So I saw that Black and Brave was only like 50 minutes away from me. So I'm like, no hesitation whatsoever, instantly put my name down.
And how long did you have to wait, or did you get in right away? And what was your expectations going in against the realities of when you got there?
I signed up at around in 2020, and I got into the school June of 2023. I did the 3-month training program. Everything I experienced in that 3 months was not at all what I pictured whatsoever. Everything about it was just such a grueling but rewarding program.
Oh, absolutely. We've heard stories about that day zero. I'm not going to have you go into it. I know how tediously rough that can be, but so you went through Black and Brave. You graduated 2023, got into the wrestling world. We know you from SCW Pro.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about your first match. What was it like before you stepped in the ring? And then what was it like during and after for you?
I had my very first match a month after graduating in pizzeria place against Cash Kennedy. And it went as well as you would think, as first match goes. But I'd say I had such a fun time after my first match. Just the amount of people congratulating me for just even having a first match, that was a really fun process.
And now here we are. Go ahead.
Everybody's got to do it, right? Everybody's got to have a first match. Everybody's got to start somewhere. So it's kind of like, ooh, the monkey's off my back. I can now go on this journey. But everybody's been there, so everybody kind of knows how you're feeling, what you're feeling.
Right.
So you have had, I know recency, this is maybe recency bias. It's been a few months, but you've stepped into the ring with someone who is just incredibly tough that we know from SCW Pro, and you survived. May not have come out with a W, but talk about your matches with Mason Beck. Because you got your butt whooped and came out the other side just looking like $1 million.
Yeah, man, that was that was not a fun time. It was a really uphill battle for me going into it. But again, from the beginning of this episode, I just wanted to just prove myself to the crowd. Just like, hey, I can not just survive, but like be up par with all these SCW legends like Mason Beck.
Without a doubt.
I got to ask, how does one prepare to take those chops? Does anything prepare you for it?
Not at all, man. It's like being hit with a transformer,
I'm grimacing. I'm not laughing. I'm grimacing because I can hear it. I can only imagine what it feels like for you.
Yeah, not fun, dude.
Oh, man. But going out there, maybe this is kind of, hey, it's a test for you going against an SCW legend. It's also a test to see, hey, how bad does this kid want to do this, right? Do you view it that way, or is it just part of the progression of becoming a pro wrestler?
A little bit of both. I definitely saw these matches as a, hey, can you are you able to prove yourself? Do you really want this? We're going to give you probably one of the hardest matches you've had in your career so far yet. and I was up for the challenge. I looked at it and said, "Give me your worst. I may lose, but I'll put up a fight. You know,
Absolutely.
I'll put up a really huge fight."
And the crowd, historically in wrestling, and even to this day, the crowd always gravitates to something like that. The crowd will get behind somebody who just got his butt kicked, but is still fighting. Like, the crowd gets that. The crowd buys into that. And I think that was a valuable thing that they did was, hey, Beck was beating the crap out of you, so to say, but you were gaining a groundswell of fans in a grassroots way by them painfully feeling that and hearing that with you. I think people appreciated you a little more, and the fans got behind you because of that.
No, yeah, dude. I'd say in the beginning it was just like man, it looked impossible in a way, you know, like just seeing all this huge guy in front of me. Can I even do it? Is this even possible to do? And then just seeing the fan reaction by the end of our third match, by me barely winning, and just seeing the amount of support and the amount of people who have stuck by me and just wanted to see, could I possibly do it? You know, like 1, 2, 3 kid against Razor Ramon, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. You referenced that match. That's a great example. That's a great example. Good call there.
I know I was sold when you were able to kick out of the Beck bomb for the first time, because I've seen so many people put away in the ring with that. What was that pop like for you? Could you hear the crowd when you kicked out of that for the first time?
Not at all, dude. That was instinct. That was just my body just like basically twitching. I don't know how I did that.
What's worse, a Beck bomb or getting chopped by Beck?
Man. The combination's worse. Maybe.
Well, I reason I asked because I sure as heck ain't ever going to have it happen to me. And I know the Wiz ain't either. So you're the only guy in the room that can answer it.
Yeah.
As always, he's never wrong.
No, but we're joined here by Carlos Oliva, the Guatemalan Dragon. We're going to get back to him in a moment, but we want to let you know we're powered by Low Price Pizza, built by Durham Remodeling, colored by Ryan Allison Tattoo, and protected by Jared Zook of Country Financial. This is the Card Subject to Change podcast, the podcast by the fan for the fan. Carlos, let's get back to, I just want to pick your brain about, wrestling fandom and stuff. Was there a particular match that really stuck out to you, as a wrestling fan? Could have been when you first became a fan, could be now, or a particular show that you go back and watch over and over again. I love to hear what other people like, what other people dig for wrestling shows.
Yeah, I'd say like once I started getting into wrestling, once I got on YouTube, started looking up older matches, starting to learn more about the history of pro wrestling. One match that really stuck out to me that I still watch to this day, and every time I watch it, it just feels like I've never seen that match. It's Eddie Guerrero versus Brock Lesnar in No Way Out. Every time I watch it, I'm just glued to the screen. It's an amazing, amazing storytelling match.
And Eddie is one of those people that could tell a story with anybody. And
yes.
It just, I am trying to remember that match. It's been ages since I've seen it, but I'm going to have to go back and rewatch that now, because that sounds like it was a lot of fun. What are you? Oh, go ahead, Nick.
No, I was just, and Eddie had the crowd in the palm of his hand.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, always.
Also, he's climbing this impossible mountain, which is Brock Lesnar, to get his first ever world title. So everybody's on board. Like, there's a lot of steam behind it. So, oh yeah, that's a match the crowd is fully invested in. Good call. That's a very good call. And it's been a while since I've seen it, so I'm going to go back and watch it too.
So, Carlos, what are you watching nowadays? Are you following the indies? Are you following the AEW and WWE? What kind of trips your trigger today?
Yeah, I'm still keeping up with Monday Night Raw. I still wrestle on weekends, so I can watch the matches even when I'm on the show. I watch everyone's matches, take it all in, learn from everyone as well.
Absolutely.
So when it comes to like keeping up with the current product, it's always seeing WWE and learning from everyone around me as well.
Sure.
Understandable.
What's your favorite thing to watch on the current product? What's the one thing you can't miss or the one thing you tune in for?
I'd say NXT has been really good. Good.
Music
right there.
Music to my ears. That's my favorite wrestling show of the week is NXT.
Mm-hmm.
Carlos, when you are getting ready for a match, I know you're watching everybody's match, trying to learn as much as you can. Is there any kind of ritual that you have, any superstitions that you have when you're building up to a show or to a match?
Not really. I'd say one thing I noticed that I do leading up to a match, besides stretching out, I'm just like going into my head, just like all the positive thoughts, all the people that have supported me throughout my journey, and that's just all going through my head. And leading up to the match, time feels so slow, but the second I hear my music and I go out the curtains, locked in.
Now, I know you've been wrestling. They had their second show, I believe, this last Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Underground wrestling. Is your mindset different going into an environment like that where there's no ring than it is going to a regular match?
Yeah, man, that's it's a street fight, that being prepared for that is still really new to me because it's my second time ever doing it. So, but the nerves are even more insane for this match, It's especially for that show. The people are just an arm's length away from me, and and there's no ring. It's an incredible, phenomenal experience.
Talk about you mentioned the fans. Talk about the difference in the fans between like an SCW Pro and an Iowa Underground show. They're right there within arm's reach, you say, but is there a different vibe that the fans give off for the different environments in the shows you go to?
Yeah, I'd say for a lot of the Iowa Underground fans, they've never seen a wrestling show. It's mostly a bunch of college students, and they come to this really underground venue in Iowa City. There's no ring. I don't know how to describe it. SCW has a lot of wrestling fans. Iowa Underground, it's mostly just all college students who've never seen wrestling.
Man, I want to get to one of these underground shows, but I don't want to be the only gray hair in the room. I mean, I got plenty of gray hair. I'm going to stick out like a sore thumb.
No. Iowa Underground is for everyone.
All right, man. I'm intrigued. Like, I know wrestling in a match like that is different with no ring and the crowd right there.
Mm-hmm.
What way would you rather have it? I'm sure that's real and it's in the moment and they're right there.
Mm-hmm.
But wouldn't you rather be in the ring telling the story, or do you like telling the story that close to the fan?
I'd rather be in the ring to tell my stories more moveset wise instead of just telling a story with a bunch of weapons. Not saying that's not fun. That was a really fun and unique experience. But it's a cool challenge, Iowa Underground, there's no ring, so how can you tell a story with fans covered around you and you're just limited to what you can do?
Oh, without a doubt.
I think that's you broke it down great. It sounds like more like a personal / challenge to your character. What can they do in that environment? And I think for a wrestler that's been trained in a ring, to do stuff in a ring. I think you wouldn't want to do it all the time, but branching out and trying it here and there is definitely something cool. And there's probably something you can take away from it when you get back into a normal ring.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Let me ask you this. So sometimes when we have guests on, we like to do a little fantasy booking.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's in an underground match, whether it's in a ring, do you have any opponents, past, present, or present, that you want to step in the ring with? Who would be the ideal dream match for you?
Oh man, I would love Eddie Guerrero would be one of them for sure. It would be just an amazing experience. And currently I wouldn't say I'd say Rey Mysterio, honestly.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That could be fun.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he's the greatest luchador of all time, correct?
Yes. Learning from him would be an incredible experience.
You know, and credit to Ray for the guy who was way undersized in a world of giants, but was able to convey that style, was able to stick around, was able to evolve with the product, but still stay real true to himself. He never really changed his character. He never really changed his style. He changed up his stuff from time to time, but he's always kind of been the same guy. And I think that's great. You know, like in a world, we don't see that in a world in wrestling. We don't see that as much anymore. And Rey Mysterio, I'd watch Rey Mysterio, Carlos Oliva. I'd watch Eddie Guerrero, Carlos Oliva. That'd be great. I'd be thrilled. Those would be great matches.
No, yeah, dude. That's why I've always been captivated by him. It's even when I was a kid to this day, it's just been the same guy who's just the exact same beliefs that he's been stuck with, and it's awesome.
That'd be a hell of a match for sure. Mm-hmm. I know you're relatively young in the business, couple years in. Mm-hmm. I'm going to ask you a 2-part question.
Cool.
What is the best advice that anyone has given you since you've started in the ring? And if you could go back to the you that started in 2023, what would you tell yourself knowing what you know now?
I'd say one of the best advice I've ever gotten was to interact with the crowd way more. Moves that you can do the biggest or the most flashiest moves ever, but if you're not interacting with the crowd or not telling a story, no one's gonna really care. And to this day, that's the main thing I want to do. I want to give these fans a show. I want to make sure the audience is enthralled by what I'm doing in the ring. And if I were to go back and talk to 2023 me, would be to have fun, have even more fun. It's going to be a really fun experience. And I'm still having a lot of fun right now. So I would just say enjoy it, don't change a thing. Continue to work hard.
Carlos, we're in full swing of WrestleMania season. Guess I got to ask you what maybe your favorite WrestleMania of all time is, and maybe what your favorite WrestleMania match is of all time.
Mm-hmm. Trying to see. I don't want to answer it from earlier, from WrestleMania 30.
Yeah, that's kind of where I went back to. I said you mentioned it earlier. If that's your answer, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, because that's a very impressionable moment. Like, I think a lot of people think that way, but no. What's your favorite Mania? What's your favorite moment or I'll say match.
I'd say one of my favorite WrestleMania matches is still the main event of WrestleMania 30. But I'd say my favorite WrestleMania, the one that sticks out like a sore thumb, would be WrestleMania 31. I remember just watching that with my family and just loving every single match. I was a kid at the time, so all the storylines leading up to it, I thought were really awesome.
Hey, whether you were a kid or a full-fledged adult like me at the time with kids, 31 is a very good WrestleMania.
Yes.
One of the all-time greats. Easily top 5 WrestleMania of all time. Matches, the first cash-in, of course, with Seth Rollins, but all the matches were and the storylines going in were great. That was a very good Mania.
Mm-hmm.
Let's keep that train of thought going. What are you looking forward to most about this upcoming WrestleMania that's on the board at the moment?
Definitely the John Cena storyline leading up to it. Watching Elimination Chamber and just having my jaw on the floor for the main event. I just want to see more. I can't wait to see what they're going to do with it.
And John Cena's turn at Elimination Chamber, it's arguably the best heel turn that's ever been done.
Mm-hmm.
That has been debated endlessly, both between me and Nick and on the internet and all over the place. But I'm all in. I'm anxious to see what comes out of this, where Cena lies if he gets that 17th. If he gets the 17th title as a heel, I think that's going to be an amazing moment.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be one of those moments where you knew where you were when John Cena turned heel. If John Cena wins number 17, that's going to be the moment that's played for the next 50 years, and beyond, well after we're gone. So, to be able to see a moment like that, I'm rooting for it. I want to see it. Sure, I want to see it, but what happens, I don't know. It's going to take some twists and turns like all good storylines do. And that's what we want, right? We want the escape. We want the storyline. At least I do. That's why I watch wrestling. But I'm looking forward to it. What's the one guy on the roster right now you would like to work with? In the main roster, I know you mentioned Ray. You can't say Ray.
Yeah.
Who would you like to work with? Somebody, you would look at him and be like, man, I would love to get in the ring with him.
One person that's in the main roster who, as a kid, I remember when NXT first came around. Not the reality show one, but like the first original Black and Gold one on the WWE network. And
yep.
I saw the debut of Finn Balor on there, and still to this day, one of the guys I always watch. I would just love to get in the ring and learn from him.
That'd be fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be behind that. I'm a big Finn Balor fan, and I think you guys would put on a good match. It'd be good. It'd be really good. I think Finn is due for a breakout year this year. I don't know what it's going to be. I don't know how he gets to a world title, but I think, man, this may be his year. Like, this is it. Like, he just resigned. He's healthy. Let's go. Let's push this guy. I hope they do it.
Yeah, me too. He's been over.
I really do. I love him. I think he's one of the most underappreciated guys that don't get talked about enough. I'm glad you brought him up, because anytime he's brought up on here, I rave about him, and I think he's a great wrestler, one of the most underappreciated guys right now.
Mm-hmm.
Without a doubt. We're talking about the main roster. We've talked about NXT. I just want to ask you, Carlos, what is the 5-year plan for Carlos Oliva when 2030 rolls in? Where do you want to be?
I want to still be wrestling. I want to still, I want to continue traveling, honestly. I feel like where I'm at, I barely scratch a dent in the huge iceberg that is wrestling, and I just want to drill into it. I just want to continue wrestling. That's all I want to do. I just want to be in that ring every single day.
What are the shows dates coming up that where Carlos Oliva, where the Guatemalan Dragon is going to be wrestling?
I'll be at Wildwood this upcoming Saturday. Hometown in our city. That's always going to be fun. I'll be down in Edgewood, Illinois, the following week after that on Thursday. So that's going to be fun.
If people want to find you and follow you on socials, where can they find you?
Yeah, on Facebook, you can just search up my name, Carlos Oliva. I mostly use Instagram. You can find me on there I go by Carlos O'Kelly's.
I like that's catchy. That's catchy.
Yeah.
There you are. I found it. Pretty easy to find.
Sick.
Carlos O'Kelly's.
Do you have a YouTube presence at all? Can we see any of your matches on online?
I should have some on there. They're mostly just private videos though.
That's understandable.
Mm.
Well, Carlos, we've had a great conversation with you here, so I definitely want to thank you for coming on. It has been an absolute pleasure speaking with you, learning a little more about you, and I look forward to checking in with you in the future, see where you're at down the road.
Yeah, man. I thank you for having me on. It was a really fun time.
Absolutely. Nick, unless you have something else to say, I think that's going to put a bow on this episode.
No, I just want to thank Carlos for sticking around after our big gab session at the beginning. It was great talking to him, great getting to know him, and yeah, I'm looking forward to the next time I get to see him in the ring. Same here.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, that is going to put a wrap on this week's show. For my co-host, Never Wrong Nick Bull, I am the Wizard CZ. Again, thank yous to Carlos Oliva, who came on, had a great conversation with us. We'll be back midweek for the kickout, and then we'll be back next Sunday right here on Card Subject to Change.
This has been a For Frequency Sake Podcast Network production. For more great content, subscribe to For Frequency Sake on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter.